Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Kislinsky. I'm the founder of Go Global World, the community for entrepreneurs. And today I would like to speak about the cloud. The cloud technology is something that helps companies to scale fast. And today we hear a lot of companies who became unicorns because they managed to scale their businesses globally and achieve so much success, and the world is proud of them. Some of them are on our community, or some of them were speaking at our community, helping you, the guys, to build your companies and answer your questions. And the technology is evolving, but to use the cloud at scale, it comes with a lot of costs. How to optimize it? How to optimize it at early stage? Some entrepreneurs at early stage don't realize that it actually can cost them a lot, and they use credits of those companies who provide the cloud, so they can pay a little bit for their costs. But sometimes those credits run out so fast, and all of a sudden you have to pay many thousands of bucks from your pocket. How to minimize this kind of risks, how to optimize the cloud, and how to use this efficiently so you focus on the business, not the costs that are coming from the cloud, especially at early stage. For this reason, I invited Viacheslav Bessonov from Hilbert Team to help us clarify how to do this optimization, and then early stage companies can focus building some new great stuff for the world. Let's get into it. Hi everyone. Today here with me you can see Viacheslav Bessonov from Hilbert Team, and I invited him to speak about the cloud. Hi Slava, tell us about yourself. Tell why you are a subject matter on this topic, and let's get into it.
Sure. So I'm co-founder and CEO of Hilbert Team, and we deal with cloud a lot. We help companies and startups all around the world to migrate to the cloud, and we see how they struggle with any other types of infrastructure, and we see cloud is to be very beneficial for them, and that's why we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, and in terms of your personal experience, how did you get into this field, and how did you gain your expertise in the cloud?
So personally, I have IT background. I've been working in the industry for like around 15 years. I started as a software developer, worked as a software architect in many different firms in many different countries. It was a very interesting experience. And I used to be a software developer, so I know how to create systems, but I didn't know how to run them. And then I just met my partner, and he was like the complete opposite. So he didn't have software development experience, but he rather had like system administrator experience, and he knew exactly how to run the system, how to make the most efficient infrastructure to run your code.
Yep.
And it kind of clicked together. So we started our firm, and right now we just kind of combine our expertise together in order to help companies just to thrive.
And you said that you work in different countries, and I guess you also studied in the countries. In what countries, and what did you do in there?
So I've been living most of my life in Russia, but like I had a very interesting experience living in working in Poland. I worked in Credit Suisse and just deep in the bank, in the asset management department. Also, I worked remotely with a lot of different companies from all around the world, and in a very diverse teams, where we had like team members from almost any time zone we had, so it was extremely difficult to just schedule a meeting for us.
That's pretty awesome. I used to work for a large firm as well, and used to work in Switzerland, Lausanne, and we were doing some operations in Africa, and actually all continents, and it was pretty much of the experience. This is where I gained my experience, and it's sometimes the way of getting some first expertise through the large corporations, and people quit to build their own businesses. Well, I'm very much interested to learn about the cloud, and to me, what I'm trying to find out about the cloud is actually how to optimize the costs for startups, and how to make it efficient at early stage, to learn from you what mistakes the startups are doing, and how we can help them to prevent them. Maybe we can give them algorithm of steps to do something different or something like that. This is what I want to discuss, and so let's go and get into it, right?
Let's get into that.
Yeah. All right, Viacheslav, are we here to discuss the cloud?
Not exactly. I think we're going to discuss money. The key factors to success are innovation, fast pace, and ability to scale. And the cloud gives you everything. So it's a perfect tool for you.
Just this morning I read an article from TechCrunch that there are over 900 unicorns in 2021 already, and 35 decacorns. So to have those companies at this massive amount, they need to have technology to scale, and most of those companies would use cloud, and this topic is like really about money.
Yeah, that's true. And even according to some reports, around 92% of companies worldwide somewhat in the cloud. And it gives you a lot of benefits.
All right, let's talk about the benefits. I'm really interested. Let's get into it right away.
Let's start first from fast pace. So cloud is not just like a bunch of servers that you can get. It's not like CPUs, RAMs, storage capacities, networks, etc. Cloud is services and managed services like databases, Kubernetes clusters, everything. What does it mean for you? So it means that you just save time. You don't need to invest money and resources on creating a database. You just can do it via click on a button, and voila, you have like a high scalable elastic database. What does it mean? High availability and scalability. It means, so everyone knows about Black Fridays. So like today you serving like, for example, thousands of customers, but then Black Friday comes and it's not just thousands, it's dozens of thousands.
Maybe millions, yeah.
It may be millions, yes. And in traditional model of like on-premise infrastructure, it's not possible just to serve all this workload just right now at this spot of time. But with cloud, it's really possible. And the other benefit is that just you pay as you go. Like you serve hundreds of customers, your bill is tiny. You just pay like hundreds of dollars. So you serve thousands of customers, your bill grows. You serve millions of users, of course your bill grows, but you already get a lot of money. So it's like really beneficial for you. You don't need to invest a lot of capital upfront. So you just pay for what you use right now at this moment.
In terms of that, it's good for the business. It's more or less clear. And considering the boom of the startups and so many unicorns, and even those companies who still haven't reached the 1 billion evaluation, there are lots of that are above 100 million and more. So they definitely know the benefits of the cloud. But what are the drawbacks? What are the issues startups should know about?
Yes, so with great power comes great responsibility, and you should be aware of cloud cost. Because in 2010, the average cloud bill was around like $6,000. Right. In 2020, it's around $12,000. If we look at big organizations, big corporations and startups, it's like millions of dollars. And it's really difficult for stakeholders, for CXOs, just to take full advantage of those millions of dollars spent on the cloud and just basically take control of that. And the problem is that there is a big issue called cloud waste.
What is the cloud waste, and how big is this problem then?
And it's really big because according to some estimates, around 30% of all the public cloud spend is wasted. I mean, completely wasted. Organizations just spent the money, but they didn't get any benefit from that. So they just threw it in a bin, all these 30%. And it's like a problem because for most startups, for most organizations, cloud spend is a big part of the COGS or cost. I mean, cost of goods sold. And you can imagine For example, if you just decrease it a bit, you can improve your margins significantly. And like you don't need to waste time on improving like your marketing activities. So just by doing some R&D work and improving your infrastructure, you can improve your margins, and you can like improve it very significantly.
Is it the only way to improve it like that significantly, or is there something else?
So just to get to that, we probably need to go back a bit and just talk about cloud economics and what that is. So we just really understand like how cloud works and how money in the cloud works.
Okay. What is the cloud economics? I know unit economics, I know economics, but what is the cloud economics?
Yes, so cloud economics is kind of a study that just tells us how financials in the cloud works. And we will not dive deep into the details. I just want to highlight the most important things. And first is just CAPEX versus OPEX. So in the traditional old model, we just had this capital expenditure. When we needed infrastructure, we had to buy it up front. We needed this capital just to pay for that.
Yep.
And it was like really painful, because just to start something that you don't know that will be successful, you had to spend some money. With cloud, it's different. You don't need to pay up front, you pay as you go. And it's really beneficial for you because you have this free cash in your pocket that you can spend on marketing, on sales, on salaries for your engineers, or maybe on fast cars, I don't know.
Or just for the scale of your company, it's so super important to be efficient and go lean.
Yeah, that's true. But also like this OPEX just, it's also very dangerous, because if you just don't take control of that, it can ruin your business. And the problem is that the other benefit that we mentioned, elasticity, it's really great because you have like almost infinite resources and you can scale as much as you want. But at the same time, you can have like uncontrollable spend. So you really have to take control of that. And the other problem is that those on-demand prices. With servers, you secure the prices up front. So like you had this procurement team, they were taking care of just negotiating the prices. With cloud, it works differently. So everything is dynamic, everything, like, so it's called like variable cloud cost model. And even prices changing. So right now you're paying for a virtual machine this amount of money, and then just in the next month the price can change significantly. And if you have like a large fleet of virtual machines, even like a tiny change may just affect you.
Yep.
So you really need to take care of that and really need to control that.
In terms of cloud economics, the three parameters, at least to think of: CAPEX to OPEX switch, elasticity, and on-demand pricing, right?
That's true. And also, like it's a huge shift basically, like this old traditional model with on-premise infrastructure and cloud. And the biggest shift is before, like the people who were in charge of those costs mostly were like CEOs, CFOs, like CXOs, C-suite, and like procurement teams and maybe engineers. So, but right now it shifted towards engineering. So your R&D, your engineers are responsible for your cost, for your margins, even for your revenue. Because if your engineer doesn't select, like for example, virtual machine type correctly, it can affect your margins as well. Or if they don't read the documentation properly, again, it can affect you badly. Because there was one situation mentioned on in AWS user group. The engineers really had like a very good goal. They wanted to archive data just to save money, but they didn't read the documentation and they did it in the wrong way. They just split it into very small chunks and pushed it to AWS Glacier. So it's a service for archiving data. But the problem is that AWS Glacier charges you per request. And since they had so many chunks of data, the bill was around $60,000. So they ended up with this huge bill just in overnight because they didn't read the documentation.
Yeah,
You can imagine.
that's a good actually point, and you need to consider every company has their own rules, and this one probably they should have known before they requested. Do you have anything to add to elaborate maybe on these differences?
Because this old model just doesn't work, because your CFO, when like a cloud bill comes, so they just don't know like what these numbers mean. So it's a real problem, and people just came up with FinOps. So we already have DevOps, so FinOps is also kind of methodology just helping us to align different teams. So we align financials with R&D, with operations. So everyone accountable for cloud spend, and everyone is accountable for organization's revenue and margins. And it's really helpful, because like DevOps was a major breakthrough that helped companies just to deliver faster, have better quality. So FinOps is the same. It just helps organization to optimize and earn more.
You and me, we know what is FinOps and DevOps, but can you explain to the guys? Some people might not know.
Well, basically, there are several layers. The first one is just like a theory of FinOps, that everyone should be accountable for cloud spend, engineers, finance, everyone. Then there should be a real-time visibility, because like we cannot make people accountable if they don't see that. And also there was a great example mentioned in AWS user group. Like there was a huge organization like with millions of dollars of cloud spend. And the problem was that the CFO, the financials team, they didn't speak to their engineering. So like this cloud bill used to come every month to CFO, so he could see that. He didn't like the numbers, but he didn't tell anything to R&D. And then suddenly they just decided to change that, just to improve this communication between different teams, and they just showed this bill to engineering.
They just basically screwed up, okay?
Yeah. The problem was that they were spending around $300,000 on dev and test environments. They basically didn't need.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, and they just switched it off, and in a matter like of minutes, they just saved $300,000.
That's actually a good case to learn from. We discussed the differences, some problems, and are there any solution, in your opinion, to that?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, like FinOps is, there are several layers, like this theory when everyone is accountable, and there are also some specific steps that you need to come up with just to be able to improve your current situation, just to make it work. So there are like this real-time data that should be visible to everyone, so everyone should see what you're spending, and not even just see, because it's very easy. You go to the cloud console and you see that, for example, your cloud bill is $100,000, but you don't need what. The problem is that it's just like a number, and it's about exactly unit economics. So we need to combine this raw data with your unit economics and just align that cloud bills with your some business metrics. So it's just not about we spent that amount of money, but more about like we spent that amount of money to earn another amount of money. And it would be much easier for your C-suite, for your CXOs, decide what to do with that information.
Okay, so in other words, we have FinOps that can save money for the company. And you already mentioned different parts. If you summarize the role of FinOps, how exactly they need to act to save the money?
Yes, so there are several techniques that I mentioned. So there are some tools that help you to get this real-time data that help you to just split it into really understandable chunks that you know, for example, that that amount of money spent on this customer and that amount of money spent on this customer, so you know how marginable they are. Then there are also techniques that allow you just to get additional visibility. For example, you get your infrastructure and you kind of tag it in a specific way. So for example, you have two departments like R&D 1 and R&D 2. So, and they like every department has their own infrastructure. And for example, you as a CFO want to know, like, department 1 is responsible for bringing that amount of revenue, R&D department is responsible for bringing another amount of revenue. So you need a way to compare them, and you just need to know, like, how much they spend. So you kind of just tag your infrastructure. So, and then in your cloud bill you see that R&D department spent I don't know, $100,000, but R&D 2 spent maybe $50,000. But at the same time, is that R&D department bringing you like $1 million, but R&D department 2 bring you much less revenue. So you see that numbers and you see how profitable they are. So it gives you more information, and you can just decide on that. That's the main benefit.
When I ask questions, on our channel, we are about real application and practice, and so to me and to our audience, it's really important to know some practical example how to use FinOps to earn money. So probably if you have one, can you share?
Sure. Like, yeah, there is a perfect example for that. So there was a company, like a big SaaS company, very big business, big customers, and it was like working well, but then it just suddenly stopped. One customer just started complaining, like they didn't like the service anymore because it was too slow, too sluggish. So, and they started complaining, and they were even threatening to leave. And like the company just really needed to do something because it was a big customer. But hopefully they already had like FinOps implemented in some cases, so they had this visibility and they had these numbers in front of them. They could see, so this customer bringing that amount of revenue, and we spend that amount of money on them. And they knew, for example, so if they just could increase the cloud bill, they could save the customer, but at the same time it wouldn't affect their margins. Yep. So they just decided to spend more in order to earn more. So that's all about FinOps. It's just not about decreasing your cloud spend, decreasing your cost, but sometimes it gives you, sometimes it can even help you to spend more, but at the same time you also earn more. So
you invest into your infrastructure or in optimization of your processes. It costs more in the beginning, but over time it actually brings you so much savings.
That's true. So it's all leveraged.
Right.
And the biggest advantage is that you really understand. So if you just increase your cloud bill by $100,000, but you know how much you're gonna gain from that, that's the biggest benefit.
How can we measure the cloud costs, and how can we compare it with the business value it provides?
Yes, so as I mentioned, like there are some specific tools, there are vendors on the market that helps you to do that. So basically you kind of, so they are also like SaaS services, and there are different solutions for different cloud vendors. Basically, yeah, so you have your cloud console and you kind of switched on those solutions. So they just add this additional info, this additional layer of visibility. And then it helps you to answer very important questions like what are the margins for this specific business unit? What are the margins for this specific feature that we created? because sometimes it's also can be a question like, do we need to like develop this new feature? Will it bring us more revenue? How profitable it will be? So, and you can and all these FinOps tools, it just helps you to kind of estimate that.
Okay, so you can actually let's say put all your processes into specific I don't know, data, and analyze this data and figure out what costs you more, and so you can find ways to optimize it.
Yeah, that's true. So like for example, I don't know, you have an app that just allows people to share data, and so you could just measure, like for example, how much of cloud storage you use, and so it just helps you to kind of calculate these cloud economics. For example, we had a case, like a startup just came to us and they asked, it was like very early stage, they just had a small prototype and they were just eager to bring some money, but the problem that the unit economics didn't work. So they asked us for help. Like they were showing us these big tables, Excel spreadsheets, and these showing us, see, like we kind of start and it's getting good, like we earn money in the year 1, in year 2, but in year 3 actually we kind of losing money because of this cloud spend. And then we would just show them, no, it's not going to work this way because there are, you didn't calculate that correctly. So your just unit economics is just fine, so you're going to earn money, and that's what FinOps just gives you.
What was the problem there, and what was the outcome of your recommendations?
In that particular case, they just didn't measure the cloud spend correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, so they didn't read the documentation in right way, and they didn't know how to calculate this cloud spend. And we just helped them. We showed them that you're like, when you use those cloud storages, it works in a bit different way, because sometimes cloud even gives you some kind of discounts in order, like even
Discounts at scale. Okay.
yeah, so you spend more space, so they give you some discounts because you know you're a big guy, so you're gonna be with them for a long time, so they give you discounts, and at scale it's really beneficial for you, and it really can affect you significantly. So we would just show them like there are ways to optimize that, and suddenly the unit economics just did work, and they were happy because they just could show it. They showed it to the investor, and the investor was also happy. So
Did they raise capital after that?
unfortunately, I don't know about that, but like they were pretty happy.
Okay. So as a learning for me in this specific case, I'd say, guys, great job on doing your effort at calculating your financial plan for a few years, and see, and you probably found you managed to find the problem, but work with mathematics, or maybe with learning about cloud opportunities and discounts. And so this specific actually case is a good learning for other startups, because when you're calculating that, you also can take into account what discounts you can get, and that might be actually a solution for you when you talk to your investors. And if there was a question for investors in this particular case, then they probably might have raised some capital already. We don't know the whole story, but if that particular issue was the problem, then they solved it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What about AWS? AWS is our partner, and we're giving away everyone $5,000 of credits just because people are on our community, and it's just one of the partnerships we have. We also speak with other cloud providers about such opportunity. What do you think of the credits, and how to use them efficiently?
That's a very interesting, that's a great question, because for startups, it's very important just to start in a very efficient way.
Yep.
You need to organize your infrastructure because sometimes people think it's free money. So I have this 5,000, even sometimes more.
I just interrupt you for a second. They think when we give them 5,000 in credits, it's like a check or cash we're going to give them in their hands. And we sometimes have to explain to some guys that, okay guys, this is the money you won't spend. That's also your cash in the pocket, but it's not like you get it something on your bank account.
Yeah, so, but still people consider it like it's free money, so,
Yeah.
and usually they get it wasted because they start experimenting, they don't control that, the cloud spend, because yeah, it's free money, so I don't need to switch off my infrastructure when I don't need it, so let it run. And especially like if you're working with AI, ML stuff, in this case infrastructure, everything related to GPUs, it's extremely expensive. If you don't switch it off, in a matter like of hours, your $5,000 is gone. And the problem is that then you have to pay, and if you already spent $5,000, then your credit card will be charged $5,000. Pretty painful. So from the very beginning, you need to take it in control. Take a very close look at that and see what's going with your cloud bill and how much you spend. And you also need to think about your infrastructure and organize it in the most efficient way.
Some startups definitely, like in AI or like working with lots of data in the cloud, they definitely need to plan it in the beginning. But the teams that are working on some app or maybe some simple service, SaaS service, I heard a lot that it won't cost them much in the beginning for some time. So what industries are most impacted by the cloud, so they need to plan ahead, or is it all industries they just need to plan their cloud expenditure right in the beginning?
So if you're a SaaS business, so you definitely need to think that upfront, just to plan it very carefully, because of course in the very beginning when you have like hundreds of customers, it works okay, like the bill is not that big, but then at scale you don't know how big it's gonna be, so you need to plan it. Yeah, so everything related to like mass sector, like all these SaaS founders should think about it definitely from the very beginning, should monitor it very carefully.
Okay, and are there any tools available on internet, or maybe some sequence of steps they can go to and use for their optimization?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of like optimization techniques. There are books, there are videos, there are like seminars, there are educational courses on that. But I would advise just to start together with your team, with your engineers, with your CTO, and then just when you already have like some kind of a POC or just a sketch of your infrastructure, just to think about the cost, like this startup just did, because they did a very great job. Like, I mean, this Excel spreadsheet was very impressive. So they calculated everything. They had some problems. We helped them to fix that, but like they did a very great job, tremendous. So you need to do the same, just to think about your unit economics from the very beginning. Think about your cost, how your infrastructure is going to cost you, and how much you can earn from that. And then, because in the very beginning, it doesn't make sense to spend a lot of time on optimization, because your infrastructure will change like hundreds of thousands of times.
Yeah.
But your core should be like, just should make sense.
Yeah, totally agree with that. So, to me, it was very important to know that for startups, it's very important to learn how to optimize and optimize in the beginning their cloud economics. It's not only the job of CEO, but it's first the job of CTO to be into this optimization and actually learn how to do this. And planning your costs in advance is actually a good technique to prevent your expenditure for future. And if you take this into account in the beginning and understanding your unit economics and cloud economics, it actually not only gives you access to your customers and provide them the product they want at scale, but also convince your investors to give you the check to fund your startup because your unit economics works well.
That's true.
So before I let you go, tell us about what you do. Tell us in a few words about your company, and your final words to the Go Global World community.
So Hilbert Team is a global service provider. We help companies all around the world to migrate to the cloud and optimize their business by automating the IT infrastructure, processes, kind of making them secure, reliable, and very important, cost efficient.
Yeah.
So basically we're experts in the cloud, DevOps, and information security. So my final word is just always think about money. At the end of the day, so we have to pay our bills and we have to have some money for that. And to keep it running, just think about money.
Yeah, and that was Viacheslav Bessonov from Hilbert Team. So goodbye and have a great one. Guys, please ask your questions below in the comments. And of course, give us some good likes and repost our video. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so right now. This is the time. And if you put this bell button on, you'll be informed about our future videos with speakers like Viacheslav. And the goal of our talks not to inspire you, but actually give you the tools that you can apply right now in your business. Hopefully, we managed to do this right now. And if you would have more questions to Viacheslav, just if you put it in the comments below, I'll make sure that you get your answers. And of course, give us your feedback, what other speakers and topics you would like to discuss. We will try to address it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye.